everyone! I'm Maki! Have you ever heard the claim that the beam saber in Gundam was inspired by the lightsaber? This is one of the most famous topics of debate. In today's episode, however, I would like to challenge that claim. Today, we are going to analyze the direction of Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino in the original 0079. Even in the smallest scenes, we can see the passion of the creators. We will also see how this passion was carried on into other Gundam series. We will also examine how Tomino felt about the Star Wars series. What similarities and differences are there between Amuro and Luke Skywalker? What differences and similarities do they have? Let's find out together. Please consider supporting my channel by becoming a member for just 99 cents per month. As a thank you, you will receive a name badge and comment stamps. Now, let's begin the analysis. This time, we will be referring to comments made by Toshio Okada, a writer and critic. I have mentioned his views several times in previous episodes of my show. His views contain a great deal of interesting information about the production of the original 0079, especially since he is still actively working today. For those hearing about him for the first time, I will provide a brief overview. Okada participated as a staff member in the production of Tomino's animations and was deeply involved in subsequent Gundam series. Okada also drew the structural diagram of the cycle frame shown in Sha's counterattack. He later founded an animation production company called Gainax. This company is also famous for producing the Evangelion series. It seems that Okada also had a close relationship with Tomino. One day, Tomino said the following to Okada: I am extremely frustrated by the suggestion that the beam saber copied the lightsaber idea from Star Wars. I came up with the idea for the beam saber long before the Star Wars film was released. However, because Gundam was released after Star Wars, people have misunderstood the situation. Even one of the books she wrote, Okada, says that the beam saber copied the lightsaber. I am deeply frustrated by this situation. In response to Tomino's words, all Okada could do was apologize. However, he added a small opinion of his own. It is entirely possible for talented creators to arrive at similar ideas. The beam saber and the lightsaber are a perfect example of that kind of situation. At the time, communication technology like the internet did not exist. George Lucas probably wouldn't have gone out of his way to leak his ideas to others before officially revealing them. Tomino had almost no opportunity to steal Lucas's idea. It's just my personal impression, but Tomino also doesn't seem like the kind of person who would steal someone else's idea to further his own interests. I believe that we can trust the words Tomino shared with Okada, who was close to him. Tomino did not just regret the similarity between the beam saber and the lightsaber. In the context of the Gundam story, he reasoned that it was unavoidable that the ideas would be similar. In that case, I will create a new idea through my own interpretation. Okada presented the scene created by Tomino as an example. It was the targeting device inside the cockpit of a mobile suit. This piece of equipment is used by the pilot to enable more precise shooting. Okada said that this had been created to present an idea in animation that had evolved from Star Wars. Star Wars features a fighter called the X-Wing. This great, cool machine symbolizes the story, and the protagonist Luke Skywalker also pilots one. Near the end of episode 4, Luke activates the X-Wing's targeting system. The targeting device then deploys automatically via mechanical operation. However, Luke decides to carry out the final attack without using the targeting device, instead using the power of the Force. He then puts the targeting device away. Tomino observed this scene and was inspired to incorporate human emotion into his direction. What kind of mental state would a pilot experience on the battlefield? He decided to explore this question. In a situation where life and death can be decided in an instant, it is difficult to wait for a machine to complete its movements. Tomino concluded that even professional pilots would want to begin the next action a fraction of a second sooner. He thought that having to wait for the targeting device to retract slowly through mechanical operation would be agonizing. This way of thinking led to the development of the targeting system used in the Universal Century universe. Now, let's take a look at a scene in which Amuro uses the targeting device. Here he stops using it and puts it away. He pushes the device aside with his hand as he does so. This was a very challenging scene for the animators. Having him push the targeting device aside meant that they had to animate the movement of his entire body. I would also like you to pay close attention to Amuro's hand. Initially, he attempts to move the targeting device away from his face using the back of his hand. Then, when it reaches the side of his body, he pushes it away with his palm. His hand is rotating. This was another scene that required a great deal of work from the animators. However, Tomino insisted that they spend a great deal of time creating this scene with the targeting device. When introducing this scene, Okada described it as one in which Tomino staked his directorial pride on the outcome. He also gave an example of how Tomino's passion spread to the other staff members. The scene takes place after the Gundam's Vulcan guns have finished firing. Smoke rises from the Vulcan guns after they stop firing. This is a perfectly natural phenomenon for a gunpowder-powered weapon. However, drawing the smoke by hand and then showing it being carried away by the wind required a great deal of effort and time. This type of direction was usually avoided in traditional animation production. This was also an era before computer graphics technology became as common as it is today. Okada also said that Tomino did not instruct the staff to create this Vulcan gun effect. The staff created it on their own initiative. Having seen their leader Tomino, the staff members voluntarily decided to improve the story by creating this scene. Naturally, the same thing probably happened in many other scenes as well. The passion of one creator spread to others, allowing the work to evolve into something even better. This is how the tradition of the Gundam series was born. The beam saber imitates the lightsaber. This is a common topic of discussion. However, this opinion is incorrect. At the very least, if we believe Tomino when he told Okada, then this opinion is incorrect. The beam saber was conceived at the same time as the lightsaber. Nevertheless, the Gundam series is clearly inspired by Star Wars. One example is the targeting device mechanism introduced in today's episode. As Tomino told Okada, the targeting device in Gundam was inspired by the X-Wing's targeting device. From now on, therefore, I hope you will acknowledge that the targeting device in Gundam was inspired by the X-Wing's targeting device. You should also understand that it was not simply inspired by it. While drawing inspiration from it, Tomino developed the mechanism further with his own ideas. come to think of it, Luke Skywalker was also a young man who enjoyed working with machines. This is something he had in common with Amuro. This could also be described as an interesting coincidence. Thank you for watching until the end. I'll see you again in the next episode.